How you are in the world matters. Overwhelm is inevitable and optional. It's time to listen up and make it optional for you. Hello, welcome to this week's episode. I'm going to dive straight in with a story. The story is called The Tiger and the Strawberry. It's an old Zen story, and make of it what you will. Are you sitting comfortably? Once upon a time, as a man was walking through a forest, he saw a tiger peering out at him from the underbrush. As the man turned to run, he heard the tiger spring after him to give chase. Barely ahead of the tiger, running for his life, our hero came to the edge of a steep cliff. Clinging onto a strong vine, the man climbed over the cliff edge just as the tiger was about to pounce. Hanging over the side of the cliff, with the hungry tiger pacing above him, the man looked down and was dismayed to see another tiger stalking the ravine far below. Just then, a tiny mouse darted out from a crack in the cliff face above him and began to gnaw at the vine. At that precise moment, the man noticed a patch of wild strawberries growing from a clump of earth near where he dangled. Reaching out, he plucked one. It was plump and perfectly ripe, warmed by the sunshine. He popped the strawberry into his mouth. It was perfectly delicious. The end. What do you make of that? Well, you can make of it what you want. And what I find interesting about Zen stories, and also lots of stories, is that each time you hear them or think about them, you can get something new. And I haven't actually read or heard this story for a number of years. And then the other morning I woke up with this huge insight about the strawberry. It was quite exciting. I was excited. I love insights when things just suddenly clear and go, there's treasure in that story. So what happened next was I got to thinking, how can I use this in my work? And so this story found itself weaving into my work this week. It appeared unexpectedly in this week's Get Your Life Back workshop, which is very exciting. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But my point for you today, right now, is this. Where you place your attention is your life. Your life is the experience of what you pay attention to, right? So it matters very, very much where you place your attention. And gaining awareness of where you are placing your attention and the impacts that is having on how you feel, what you believe, what you think, and what you do, and how you are in the world, that's really powerful. But it's not always easy, because it depends whether you're paying attention to the tigers, the mice, or the strawberry, and also, very, very importantly, how you're paying attention. So, mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment, has been often, I feel, missold as this problem solver. If you are more mindful, if only you could live in the present, because everything's in the present, right? If only you could do that, then you would be happy. And I would say absolute nonsense. It's far more than that. We are missing the riches, just like with the story, with the strawberry. We're missing riches. And also, if you just focus on the tiger, you are not solving any problem. In fact, you're exacerbating it. So this is really important, because this is powerful. This is about freedom. This is about getting your life back. So, and back to this week's Get Your Life Back workshop. So where we are in Get Your Life Back at the moment is at the end of the first module, which is the MAP module, which is digging deep into previous behaviours. And if you want to know more about this, I did a series of mini workshops about 5 episodes ago, I think. I'll have to check that for you, but you can just scroll down below this episode and you'll see them. Tiny, huge, life-changing workshops. And the module we're in relates to the workshop about tunnels, caves and circles. And I'm not going to go into that at the moment. The point is that I'm asking people inside Get Your Life Back to look at the tigers and the mice. And what happens is, initially it can just feel horrible, and then resistance comes up. And because why would you want to look back at past mistakes or periods in your life when you weren't very happy? Why would you want to do that? Well, because it's powerful, really, really powerful. And by daring to examine the tiger, both tigers and the mice, you get freedom, because then you can avoid or change, which direction you run from the tigers, or avoid the mice, or maybe befriend the mice. I don't know. It's all getting a little bit meta at the moment. And I'm just going to read you this quote, because I love this quote from Rollo May, who I don't know. I just love the quote. I don't know where it comes from. It's been on my wall for quite a while now. Courage is the capacity to meet the anxiety which arises as one achieves freedom. Courage is the capacity to meet the anxiety which arises as one achieves freedom. Now, this is relevant for lots of reasons at the moment, because here in the UK, we are hopefully going to have people reclaiming some freedoms and feeling freer, but there's a lot of anxiety about that. But there's also, in general, because we want to feel safe in our lives, we tend to kind of pen ourselves in. And having the courage to look at what's going on for you, that tends to create anxiety, because any change is going to create anxiety. Good change, bad change. I heard on a television program last night, so-and-so doesn't cope with change. I think, well, yeah, I guess some people are probably worse with change than others. But in general, the mind doesn't like change, because if you're safe, and the mind's job is to keep you safe and alive, not living fully, not full of joy, that's the heart's job and the body's job, then any form of change is likely to create feelings of anxiety. So, going back to our tigers, when we dare to look the tiger in the face and get to know our tigers, it can be unpleasant. It can be really unpleasant. So, this is the key here. It's not the looking the tigers in the face, it's the how we look the tigers in the face. So we can look the tigers in the face, or the mice, or, ourselves in the mirror. We can go back and look at periods of our life when we got stuck in mistaken beliefs about the options available to us, which then resulted in us damaging our health, or our relationships, or our finances, or really importantly, our ability to feel joy and have fun, to be ourselves. We can look back at that and we can go, oh, this is terrible. I need to get rid of all of this. I need to do some big, huge, wildly destructive thing, like write letters to everybody I've ever offended and apologise to people, beat myself up and drag all this terrible stuff out of me and get kind of cleansed. And that's the kind of, and that can, I'm not criticising walking through fire and big, shouty, personal growth kind of techniques, if that's your thing, but you've still got to come back from that and embed things. And what I really like about how I've learned to do things and how I work is this idea that you go at your own pace, that you start from the basis that you are both perfect and a work in progress. And the work in progress is letting go, not changing and pushing yourself to be better all the time. And I think it's very, very easy to get into this stage where I think, right, I need to face that tiger because there's a lot wrong with me, and I need to do this major up leveling where I'm just so much better at coping with change and anxiety, and I don't let that, I can control my thoughts. And then that's when positive affirmations come in, which can be helpful, but to me it's not the method. You do what works for you. It's the how. Really paying attention to the how, I believe, makes the difference, because how you are moving through your life. So if you're moving through your life believing that you are a constant work in progress, and I love people who are committed to personal growth. I'm committed to personal growth because I want to have a fuller life. I want to feel more joy, feel more connected, have a bigger impact. But I used to do that from a place of, well, this is wrong, now I need to change it. This is wrong, I need to change it. It's constant needing to be better, and it's exhausting, and it's not coming from a place of love. If it is, and you're managing to come from a place of love and push, I don't know. But anyway, this is how I do it, and this is how I work. So if you start from the idea that you're perfect, and that the work in progress is letting go to reveal that perfection, that love, that kindness, that joy, that wanting to have this big impact on the world, whether that's, and I don't mean necessarily like some big, I've got a podcast. I mean, how you move through your day matters hugely. When you smile at somebody, when you walk into a room with an energy of ease where you're just like, yeah, I'm a bit off today, I didn't sleep very well, but I know myself and I love myself, and I might be a little bit grumpy, so therefore I'm just going to put a protective bubble around me. And then somebody does something which annoys you because they offload something onto you first thing in the morning, and instead of being really reactive because you're tired, you're able to say, okay, I'm noticing my reaction because I know myself well. I'm watching my nervous systems go into high alert. I'm aware of this. I'm just going to pause, feel my feet on the ground, maybe allow my belly to soften. And when you get good at this, this happens. It can happen automatically, but it can also it takes less and less time. And then that allows you to respond rather than react. And if we were responding rather than reacting, the world would be so different, wouldn't it? So different. Imagine if everybody was moving from a place of being able to respond with love instead of react. That doesn't mean that everybody be all fluffy and nothing would get done. Quite the opposite. It means that we will be taking action which didn't hurt other people, and we could build communities that work together. We could come together rather than this reactive, divisive, kind of polarizing, fiery stuff when we just react from a place of fear and anxiety and self-protection. So the how is so important. So if you're going to look at your tigers, notice that you're looking at your tigers, you're looking at your mice, you're going, okay, so there's things in my past that are patterns and I'd like to change them. So how can I release them? Well, last week we did an exercise, a whole episode about allowing feelings of kind of fear and trauma that get stuck in the body as patterns of held tension, of which I suspect there's a lot around because we've been in lockdown forever here in the UK and throughout the world. There's been a lot of messaging of fear, and that has a huge effect on our nervous system and then our bodies, our hearts, and tends to close us down and make us more reactive. So with that episode, go back and check it out because there's a whole neutral noticing practice there for just noticing the patterns of held tension, what that might feel like for you. And it's different every time you do it. This is really important. Bringing beginner's mind to your neutral noticing practice is so important, because then you get to find different things, and then it's fun. It's like being a little explorer each time, rather than, well, last time I found this, so that was horrible and I don't want to go there, or last time I felt really relaxed. So just bringing a beginner's mind and then just noticing in the body and then allowing it to go. So you can check that episode out. That's last week's episode. But this week's episode, I'd like to do another neutral noticing practice with you, and I'd like to do it for sitting with uncomfortable feelings. So part of when you work with me closely, or if you follow me closely, you will hopefully, well, if you work with me closely, you definitely will. But if you're following me on the podcast, I have no idea what you're doing. But I hope that you're embedding neutral noticing into your life, a body mindfulness awareness practice, which is about changing. It's about upping your awareness, because that's powerful, and that takes us to the courage to free ourselves from moving through our lives in the same patterns, reactive, fear-driven patterns or restrictive patterns. And it also automatically changes the how, because it is a practice of not just awareness, but noticing how. Because how we do the neutral noticing is everything. So it's very clever how it's all wrapped in. And I was going to say, but I'm not going to take credit for that. Actually, I am going to take credit for that, because this is my life's work. And yes, other people do similar things. Here I go. Look, I'm noticing how I'm saying this, the self-deprecation. The thing is, I needed to understand why meditation and mindfulness was so hard for me when I really needed the benefits of it. Why was it so hard? If it's supposed to work, in inverted commas, what was going on? So for me, because I have a tendency to get stuck in my head, I love thinking, reading, solving problems, analysing, dreaming, turning stuff around in my head. actually dreaming doesn't go into that. I would say that's not the mind I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mind that likes to problem solve and analyze, that right, real scientific, analytical, highly intelligent part of us that likes to problem solve all of the time. Now, the problem with problem solving all the time, it's not that we don't want that part of the mind, we do. It's awesome. But the problem is, if you're always in problem solving mode, then you're always in a problem. And so for me, although there was much that I achieved during my most intense period of that, because I had amazing opportunities to do things, I found that I got more and more stuck in my head. So meditation was a nightmare because first of all, I was exhausted, and rolling out of bed even 5 minutes early to sit on a cushion for 5 minutes was just like, it just highlighted everything that was wrong. And I'm still glad I did it because it's part of my experience and it feeds into my life now. So it's like, well, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't help. That's not life enhancing. That doesn't create more joy. And it's not that everything has to create more joy immediately, because we still need this. We need the structure and discipline to create freedom. It's just that taking something out of one culture and placing it into another one, it doesn't always translate. And also, we're all different. So, there's been times when getting up early and meditating has been great. Usually when I'm in a structured, retreat or training or something like that. But when I was in the midst of my career and burning out, but not quite realizing what was going on, it did not help me because of how I was doing it. It was another thing to achieve. It was another ought. And although I was heading in the right direction, because I had a long-standing inconsistent relationship with Buddhist practice, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and also positive psychology and the Western version of mindfulness and meditation. So I was headed in the right direction, but my how was wrong, because I was not starting from a place of love. I wasn't starting from a place of I am perfect. I was starting from a place of there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong. What's wrong with me? I should be happy. I ought to be happy. Look, I've achieved all of this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I cope? I need to toughen up. I need to hack my sleep, hack my diet, hack my productivity. I need to plan for fun stuff. I need to get my life back by making sure that I'm compartmentalizing work and then, planning the rest of my life. And bits worked for a bit and then they didn't. And getting up earlier, even 5 minutes earlier, to roll out of bed, sit on a cushion and try to just focus on my breath was hell. It really didn't help. So that's where neutral noticing comes from, because it's yes, it's meditation, yes, it's mindfulness, but it's so much more, as in it's very, very condensed. So if you're really, really busy, or if you're like me, you want high impact, you want to really go for something that is really succinct, then it's brilliant, because in 1 minute you can practice not only being more present, more aware, you're also controlling your attention because you're moving it from noticing external to internal, from the mind to different parts of the body. So every time you deliberately move your attention, you gain the ability to deliberately move your attention. And going back to the beginning, where you place your attention is your life, quite literally. If you're missing the good stuff, if you're missing the strawberry's not in your life. So it doesn't matter how much goodness you have surrounding you. It doesn't matter how loved you are. If you're not focusing on that love, if you're not absorbing that, So in the story, it's clear that he had noticed the beauty of the strawberry. I could almost smell the strawberry, because I've had strawberries, a battle between me and my chickens and the slugs to actually get to the strawberries first. But on, the occasions I've gone out, which now I think about it, and this is I'm getting an insight now telling you this. So my experience of growing 2 or 3 times the the area of strawberries this year has been really frustrating, because as much as I love my chickens, I've told them so many times, and my partner just laughs at me, you can't tell chickens. Well, I kind of can, because if I go up to them and say, come on guys, you know those strawberries aren't for you, they do shift. They know, they love me. But yeah, it is a comedy thing where basically it's all my fault, because I need to get Simon to build, which he will, a strawberry area. But anyway, so on the occasion, so what my insight here is, I've been a little bit quite moany about how many strawberries I've lost. And, strawberries are only here for a little bit of time. And Simon's like, we just buy some, which is true. But I really wanted to grow my own strawberries, and it has been this battle. But actually, do you know what's been worth it? All of those mornings, mid-morning, when the sun's been out long enough and it's warmed the strawberry and I've picked the strawberry. I've got there before the slugs, before the chickens, and I've smelt that strawberry, looked at the beauty. I mean, strawberries are amazing. How beautiful is a strawberry? If you gaze at a strawberry, it's incredible. Such a rich colour, such a beautiful shape, just so perfect. So when in the story he's talking about it was plump and perfectly ripe and warmed by the sunshine, he popped the strawberry into his mouth. It was perfectly delicious. That has happened to me several times this year. I am grateful for that. And I'm also grateful that as I tell you this, I can feel that again. And my heart is full. And this is it, isn't it? Our capacity for feeling joy is limitless, and we limit it by how we move through our lives. So back to neutral noticing. One of the things it does, it does so many things, is gives you space to feel more joy. But are you always going to feel more joy when you do it? No, you're not. And what often happens, not often, what will usually happen with neutral noticing, when you do the 1 minute mark, after a bit, you'll be like, well, it doesn't work anymore. It used to make me feel good. It used to make me feel relaxed. It used to give me my attention back. It used to do this, and now it doesn't, which is really interesting, because it is not designed to make you feel good. And that's really important. And then you think, oh, Heidi, well, why would you put something out that's really useful, but it won't always feel good? Sometimes I feel horrible. Why would you do that, Heidi? That seems really mean. No, it's the opposite. So always bring a beginner's mind, and that will give you freedom. So neutral noticing. Sometimes when you do the 1 minute mark, which is the shortest neutral noticing practice I have for you, sometimes when you do it, you will find feelings you don't like, feelings you want to push away. You might find the mind is so busy and it's like thought bombing you with everything you need to do, or what's wrong, or you've been distracting yourself from days from this repetitive loop of doom, of this like conversation you are creating, this argument to state your case and prove you're right about somebody. I know I've been doing a lot of that in a tricky situation I'm dealing with at the moment. And then it can disturb your sleep. I lost some sleep over it, and I was like, right, it's time to gain back control of my attention and take action and let go of the rehearsing of the conversation, because the rehearsing of the conversation is pointless, and I want my life back from that situation. It's about taking your power back from situations, but you can only do that when you notice. And very often there can be several, I've heard them called worms, like song tunes and conversations and memories and future stuff that you're rehearsing to stop it going wrong, and then you go through every possible outcome just in case. That's what the mind does, right? It's pretty normal that the mind is busy doing a whole load of stuff, and it's doing more than one thing at once. And when you stop, oh my God, you suddenly become aware of it. Which is why a lot of us like to keep busy, because stopping can be terrifying. It's like, oh my God. And then we're do something like have a drink or put on some music or just run away, get away from it, being thought bombed. Are you with me? And that's the overwhelm, right? Yeah. So what I'm going to invite you to do, just have a drink of water, is don't do this if you're driving or in charge of puppies and heavy machinery. I'm going to invite you to just sit where you are or stand. You don't need a special position, but it's really helpful if you can feel your feet on the ground. I know people who do this lying down without their feet on the ground and they still feel their feet on the ground, but that's usually because they've been doing it for a while. So if you're new to this, it's just easier to sit with your feet on the ground, because I'm going to use your feet on the ground to anchor your attention. So why not make it really, really easy? Why does everything have to be so hard? Make it easy. And this is a neutral noticing practice to sit with the irritation, the uncomfortable feelings that come up when we are still, and come up when you've been using the 1 minute mark for a while. I mean, some people might get it straight away. I don't know, because they haven't told me. Most people I work with love it until, and then they get this like internal rage. And then I say, right, so bring back the neutral noticing, because as soon as it's not neutral, you're not neutral noticing, you're doing something else. And that's not the practice. So just keep coming back to it being neutral. Are you ready? So allow your eyes to close if safe and appropriate to do so, because it's easier, but you don't have to. So I think if I was sat in a park, I'd probably keep my eyes open, and that's okay. Whatever feels right to you. And then sending all of your attention down to your feet. Feel your feet on the ground. Really feel your feet on the ground. What do your feet feel like on the ground? Get curious. Do both feet feel the same or different? Don't try and change anything. Just notice. If you notice judgment about how one foot is doing something differently and you're lopsided and then you can watch that thought loop, and then you can leave it. Just move your attention back to your feet, back to the physical sensations of your feet on the ground. Getting really curious, noticing each time your attention has been hijacked by your mind, by different parts of the body, by external noises and circumstances. And then gently but firmly place all of your attention in your feet. Feel your feet on the ground. Allow your belly to soften if it wants to. So this is just giving your belly space to soften. And if it doesn't want to soften, then you're just going to notice that completely neutrally. And then you can notice the judgment, the stories, the labelling about whether your belly is softening or not. Just notice all of it. Feel your feet on the ground, softening belly or not. Maybe allowing the shoulders to move away from the ears if they want to. Maybe allowing some space between the teeth or not. And then just scanning through the whole body, just noticing anywhere that feels irritating, anywhere that you are drawn to, you wish to change. So it may be that you think, oh, I just need to shift position. That's okay, you can shift position. What happens if you shift position? Does it solve the problem? Are you in problem-solving mode? That's not a judgment. Are you judging yourself for being in problem-solving mode, for trying to change things? Notice that too. So often when we become still, we notice what's wrong with our bodies. What problems need to be solved in the body? And then the mind gets involved straight away because the mind moves so fast. So notice that. Notice the activity in the mind, all of it. But keep returning your attention to your feet so that you stay noticing completely neutrally what's going on for you in this tiny moment of your day. So you can feel the body and you can notice all the places your attention is drawn that you wish were different without trying to change anything, without trying to achieve anything, without trying to silence the mind, change how judgmental your mind is at the moment, without trying to relax, without trying to release tension, without trying to do anything. Just noticing. This is a neutral noticing practice. Notice completely neutrally all of it. The stillness, the storms, the ease, the unease, the irritation, the relief, all of it. Because there is always ease and unease. There is always irritation and relief. There is always a part of the mind that is silent and happy and a part of the mind that is stormy. Place your attention on all of it. All of it. Just notice. It's okay. Just notice. How are you at the moment? Just noticing what it's like to sit with the discomfort, the uncomfortable feelings, the realization that in this moment your mind is far busy and far more judgmental and far more filled with doom and irritation than you knew or wanted to know. And that feels however it feels for you. So it might feel really irritating. So notice if you're waiting for this to stop because you want to get away from it. And that's okay. Sit with that irritation too. Layers upon layers of irritation, of wanting to change things, of wanting to escape, of wanting to stop this podcast because you haven't got time right now. This is just wrong. You don't want to do this. Notice that too. And you can choose to pause it, or you can choose to stay because there's nothing wrong with you. This is being human. This messy, contradictory, noisy, quiet, uncomfortable, comfortable, easy, hard, tigers, mice, and strawberries. This is being human. This is being you at this point in your life, at this point in your day, in this moment in time. Notice it completely neutrally. Don't try to change anything. You spend all day trying to make things better for yourself, for others, for the world. Just for a moment, don't try to change anything. Just notice all of it. Completely neutrally. And then when you're ready, I invite you to feel your feet on the ground, feel connected to the earth, feel safe, stable, welcome, just as you are, perfect and a work in progress. And the work in progress is letting go, noticing, and then allowing to go the feeling that you are somehow not good enough to be here, because you are. When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. Pause for a moment. Notice how you feel. What does your heart long for right now? Do you want to go outside and gaze at a tree? Do you want to sit here a moment longer? Is there a strawberry that's calling you that you want to savour? Is there somebody you want to tell that you miss them, or you're thinking of them, or that you love them, or that you're sorry. I don't know. Maybe you need to do nothing. But have an unexpectedly lovely day. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for being here. To find out more about my tiny, huge, life-changing practices, please visit www.heidimarke.co.uk.